I still don't know how I made it out of that night alive. I don't even know if alive is the right word because something inside me never left that house. It was supposed to be a routine call, a welfare check in a quiet part of town. But the things I saw, the things I felt, I still wake up in cold sweats, hearing the whispers. I was on the night shift, patrolling the outskirts of town when dispatch came through. Unit 4 to 11, we've got a 911 hang-up from 124 Oak Ridge. No response on callback. A hang-up isn't usually a big deal. Half the time, it's a kid playing with the phone or a drunk dialing by mistake. But there was something off in the dispatcher's voice. A hesitation, like she knew something wasn't right. "Copy that en route," I said, flipping on my lights and heading toward Oak Ridge. It was one of those old Victorian houses, the kind that shouldn't still be standing. The porch sagged, the windows were dark, and the yard was overgrown like no one had cared for it in years. I parked out front, double-checked my radio, and stepped out into the cold night. Something about the air felt wrong, heavy, like the house itself was breathing. I knocked. "Police department. Anyone home?" Silence. I knocked again, harder this time. "This is Officer Carter with the PD. We received a 911 call from this address. Is everyone okay?" Still nothing. Then, just as I reached for my radio to call it in, the door creaked open. No one was there. The house was dark, except for a single dim light at the end of the hallway. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to wait for backup, but protocol said if there's a potential victim inside, I had to check. Hand on my holster, I stepped inside. That's when I heard it. A whisper, so quiet I almost thought it was the wind. But then it came again. Closer. "Help me." My stomach dropped. I pulled out my flashlight, sweeping the beam across the room. The place was a mess. Furniture covered in white sheets, dust so thick it coated my boots. It didn't look like anyone had lived there in years. But that voice, it was coming from upstairs. I took a deep breath and started up the staircase, every step creaking beneath my weight. Halfway up, my radio crackled. 4 to 11, status check. I raised it to my lips, still checking the residence. I think someone's inside. That's when I heard the sound that nearly made me bolt. A dragging noise, something heavy, scraping against the wooden floor. It was coming from the room at the end of the hall. I drew my gun. "Police! If someone's in there, come out with your hands up." No response. Just that sound. Dragging. Slow. Deliberate. I stepped forward, my pulse hammering in my ears. The door was slightly open, and as I nudged it with my foot, my flashlight caught something on the floor. A trail. Dark. Wet. Leading from the window to the closet. And then a single bloody handprint on the door. I froze. My training told me to call for backup, but my gut told me I didn't have time. Someone was in that closet. Someone or something. I reached for the handle, bracing myself for whatever was on the other side. And then the door exploded outward. Something lunged at me, and everything went black. I came to on my back, my ears ringing, my vision swimming. My flashlight had rolled across the floor, casting long, frantic shadows that seemed to move on their own. My gun was still in my hand, but my grip was weak, shaky. Something had hit me, hard. I pushed myself up, trying to clear my head. The closet door hung open now, swinging slightly, as if something had just come out of it. But there was nothing in front of me. Then I heard it, breathing, slow, deep, right behind me. I turned so fast I nearly tripped over myself. Gun raised, finger on the trigger, but there was no one there. Just that damn bloody handprint smeared across the wall, the dark stain of something soaking into the wooden floor, and the distant sound of something wet dripping. I forced a breath and keyed my radio. 4 to 11, I need backup at 124 Oak Ridge. Possible assault victim. Unknown suspect. A whisper cut through the static. "You shouldn't be here." My blood turned to ice. That didn't come from my radio. That came from inside the room. And that's when I saw it. The closet was empty, but something was wrong with the walls. The peeling wallpaper was warped, bulging outward like there was something behind it. Something moving. The whisper came again, louder this time. Urgent. Help me. I swallowed hard and stepped toward the wall. The bulging shape was just above my head, shifting slightly, pushing out like a breath beneath the paper. I reached out, hesitant, my fingers barely grazing the edge of the loose wallpaper. And then, with a sickening tear, the whole thing peeled away. I staggered back. There, inside the wall, staring straight at me, was a face, mouth open, eyes wide, lips cracked and dry, as if they had been screaming for years but no one had heard. And the worst part? It moved. The skin stretched, the eyes rolled toward me. The mouth opened wider, lips trembling as it spoke. He's coming. The whisper was ragged, desperate, but it wasn't coming from the face in the wall. It was coming from right next to me. My body went cold. I turned my head just slightly, and in the reflection of my flashlight against the cracked window, I saw him. Tall, too tall, arms hanging like dead weight, his head tilting at an unnatural angle, and his mouth. God, his mouth wasn't right. It stretched too far down, too wide, as if his skin had been pulled and stitched into a permanent, gaping grin. His lips didn't move, but I heard his voice, low and guttural, scraping against my skull like nails on bone. Run. And then the lights went out. Darkness swallowed the room. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might shake my ribs apart. I could still hear breathing, slow, steady, not mine. I forced myself to move, to react. My training kicked in, but no amount of academy drills had prepared me for this. I grabbed my flashlight off the floor, my hands shaking so bad the beam jittered across the walls. The face was still there, embedded in the plaster, eyes rolling wildly, mouth stretching in a silent scream. But the thing behind me, it was gone. The air was thick, heavy, like the whole house was pressing down on me. My radio crackled. 4-11, come in. Carter, do you copy? I scrambled for my shoulder mic. 4-11, I need immediate backup. There's something in this house. Silence. Then a whisper, distorted, dragged through static. There's no one left to save you. My stomach dropped. That wasn't dispatch. That wasn't human. I didn't wait. Gun raised, I backed toward the hallway. The house was too quiet, like the walls were holding their breath. Every step I took, the floor groaned under me, but the sound felt wrong, stretched out, too slow, like the house was twisting time itself. I made it to the stairs. That's when I saw them. Handprints. Hundreds of them. Smeared in something dark, something thick. They covered the walls, the railing, the steps, all leading down. I swallowed hard. My only way out. I started down. 1 step. 2. The air got colder. 3 steps. 4. Then I heard it. A dragging noise. From upstairs. Something was coming. I didn't turn around. I ran. I flew down the stairs, nearly slipping on the last step, bursting into the foyer. The front door was still open, swaying slightly, like the house was letting me go, but I knew better. I sprinted toward the door, and it slammed shut. The lock clicked, then the deadbolt, then the chain. I was trapped, and behind me on the staircase the shuffling stopped. I didn't want to look, but I had to. My flashlight flickered. The beam landed at the top of the stairs. And there it was. It wasn't human. Tall, too tall. Its head tilted unnaturally, body jerking in sharp, twisted movements. Its arms hung limp at its sides, but I could feel its eyes on me. And then it smiled. A slow, sickening stretch of lips, curling too wide, splitting at the edges like the skin was rotting away. It didn't move. It just stood there, waiting for me to make the first move. I reached for my gun. My hands were sweating so bad I almost dropped it. I aimed straight at its chest. Don't move. It didn't listen. It tilted its head further, that impossible grin widening. And then, in a voice that sounded like nails against bone, it spoke. You brought me here. My breath caught. No, this wasn't possible. I wasn't crazy. The thing lurched forward. I fired. The shot rang out like a bomb in the suffocating silence. My ears rang. my hands steady despite the sheer terror in my chest. I hit center mass, I know I did. But the thing didn't fall. It didn't even flinch. Instead, its body absorbed the bullet like it was sinking into something soft, something wrong. The wound stretched open like torn fabric, black and empty, but there was no blood, no pain. Then, with a slow, awful clicking sound, the skin stitched itself back together. And that smile never wavered. My breath came in short, panicked gasps. I backed away, reaching for my radio again, but my fingers were numb, stiff like my body wasn't mine anymore. 4-11, officer down. I need static. Then, underneath it, laughter. Low, breathy, too close. I spun around, gun raised, expecting to see something right behind me, but nothing. Just the front door, still locked, still mocking me. A whisper slithered through the air, curling into my ear like something alive. You can't leave. Not yet. The voice wasn't coming from behind me. It wasn't coming from anywhere. It was inside me. I choked, dropping my flashlight as something crawled under my skin. An invisible pressure, something heavy settling into my chest like it was borrowing my breath. I stumbled, the world tilting sideways. The air felt thick, too thick, like I was breathing in smoke. My limbs wouldn't listen. My gun felt like dead weight. And then the walls began to move. The handprints, those awful, bloody handprints. They shifted, fingers curling like they were reaching for me. A deep, distant knocking came from inside the walls. And with it, a voice. Familiar. Weak. Carter. My blood went ice cold. I knew that voice. Officer Mike Larson. My old partner. The one who went missing 6 months ago after a welfare check in this very house. We never found his body. My hands trembled. I didn't want to turn around. I knew what I would see. But I did. And there he was. Or what was left of him. His uniform was still the same, his badge reflecting my flashlight's weak glow. But his face. Jesus, his face. His eyes were gone. Just empty sockets filled with something black and writhing. His mouth hung open in a silent scream. His lips cracked, stitched together with something dark and glistening. His body was wrong, twisted like he had been broken apart and put back together the wrong way. And then he moved. Not naturally. Not like a person. His head snapped toward me, too fast, like his neck was nothing but loose wires and torn muscle. And when he spoke, his voice came from somewhere else. A deep, guttural whisper buried beneath layers of static. You shouldn't have come back. I tried to speak, but nothing came out, because I wasn't looking at just Mike anymore. I was looking at all of them. More figures, more officers, some in full uniform, others in pieces. Emerging from the shadows, from the walls, their faces frozen in that same silent scream. One of them reached for me, and everything went black. I woke up choking. My lungs burned, like I had been holding my breath for too long. I gasped, sucking in thick, rotten air, my throat raw. I wasn't in the foyer anymore. I was somewhere else. The air was thicker here, damp, reeking of mold and something worse, something rotting. The walls were closer, pressing in, pulsing like they were alive. And the worst part? I wasn't alone. I could feel them, watching, waiting. I reached for my flashlight, but my fingers sunk into the floor. Not wood, not carpet. Something soft, damp, and breathing. The house was alive. A whisper slithered through the dark. He's awake. My pulse pounded. I pushed myself up, my boots sinking slightly into the fleshy, breathing floor. My gun was still in my hand, but I knew it wouldn't help me. Not against this. Not against him. The shadows shifted ahead of me. A shape peeled itself from the darkness, moving like it wasn't walking but sliding, too smooth, too slow. And then I saw his face. The grinning man. He was closer now. His mouth stretched wider, too wide. His lips splitting apart like his skin was coming undone. His eyes were just black pits, deep and endless, like they were staring straight through me. Then he spoke. Do you understand now, officer? His voice was wrong, layered like a dozen voices speaking at once. I swallowed hard. My voice came out weak, hoarse. Understand what? The thing tilted its head, bones creaking, that awful smile never fading. This house doesn't take people. I stepped closer. People bring themselves here. The words sent a chill through my bones. No, that wasn't true. That couldn't be true. I was here because of the 911 call. Because of the missing people. Because of my chest tightened. I thought about Mike, the other officers, the missing bodies. No one ever found them, because they never left. Something moved in the walls. A wet, slithering sound, like something was shifting just beneath the surface. I stepped back, my boots sinking into the floor again, and suddenly, hands, dozens of them, pale, decayed fingers burst from the ground, grabbing my legs, my arms, my throat, pulling me down, down, down. I fought, kicking, gasping for breath, but the grinning man just watched, smiling, waiting, and then I saw Mike, his ruined face inches from mine. His voice was barely a whisper. Don't let it keep you. And then he pushed me. The world ripped apart and I fell. I hit the ground hard, my body slamming onto something solid. The air in my lungs ripped away, leaving me gasping, disoriented. For a split second, I thought I was dead. Then I realized I was outside. The cold night air hit my skin like a slap. The house was still in front of me, looming, its windows dark and empty like hollow eyes. But I was on the porch. I had gotten out. My radio crackled to life. 411 Carter. Jesus, where the hell have you been? We've been trying to reach you for over an hour. An hour? No, that wasn't possible. I looked down at myself, dust covered, blood on my sleeves that wasn't mine. My gun still clutched in a white-knuckled grip, but I was out. I grabbed my radio, voice shaking. 411. I don't know what happened. I need backup. Now. We already sent a unit. Stay put, Carter. You hear me? Just stay put. I wasn't staying put. I turned on my heel, my only thought. Get to my patrol car. Get the hell away from this place. But the second I stepped off the porch, everything changed. The street? Gone. The town? Gone. I turned in a circle, heart hammering. There was nothing but forest. Endless, towering trees stretching in every direction, swallowing the house in a sea of black. I took another step, and the front door creaked open behind me. The house was waiting. I raised my gun, even though I knew it was useless. No, I whispered, shaking my head. I got out. I got out. A slow, familiar whisper curled through the night air. Did you? I turned. He was standing in the doorway, the grinning man, and he wasn't alone. Behind him, in the dim glow of the house's single, flickering light, were the others. The missing officers, the people who had vanished. Their faces were empty, their eyes gone, their mouths sewn shut. They weren't people anymore. They were part of the house now, and I had never left. I felt it before I saw it. The porch under my boots? It wasn't wood anymore. It was breathing. The trees weren't trees, they were walls. I wasn't outside. I was still inside the house. I never left. The grinning man tilted his head, and for the first time, I saw something move behind his endless black eyes. Something waiting. Something hungry. Welcome home, he whispered. The door slammed shut, and the house took me. I woke up in darkness. Not just any darkness. This was thick, suffocating, the kind that pressed against my skin, filling my lungs like smoke. I wasn't dead, but I wasn't alive the way I used to be. I could feel the house around me, inside me, like I was part of it now. My breath was slow, too slow, like I wasn't breathing on my own anymore. Then a sound. A knock, distant, but growing louder. Closer. Someone was at the front door. A new officer. A new me. I tried to scream to warn them, but no sound came. My mouth wouldn't move, because I didn't have a mouth anymore. I was in the walls. A whisper drifted through the air, curling around me like a cold hand. Shoo! The grinning man. He was everywhere now. Inside me, around me, and then the door creaked open. Footsteps. Another officer stepping inside. Another life about to be swallowed whole. And all I could do was watch, because the house never lets go. It only feeds. I don't know how long I've been here. Time doesn't work the same way inside the house. There's no sun, no clocks, just the steady, rhythmic breathing of the walls. But I know one thing, I am not alone. There are others. The officers, the missing people. We exist in the spaces between the walls, in the whispers that slither through the air. We try to warn them, the ones who come after us. But it never works, because the house wants them to stay. And the grinning man? He makes sure they do. Tonight I hear footsteps again. A new voice, radio crackling, the same desperate calls for backup I once made. I feel the walls shiver, the air growing thick with hunger. The house is ready. I press against the inside of the wall, my hands no longer my own, my body just a part of this place now. And for the first time, I hear my own voice, weak, hollow, barely more than a whisper. Don't open the door. But I know they will, because they always do, and the cycle will start again. I wasn't supposed to remember. That's what the house does. It takes you, erases you, turns you into a whisper behind the walls, just another voice lost in the void. But I remember everything. I remember who I was. I remember how I got here. And worst of all, I remember how to get out. The grinning man doesn't know. He thinks I'm like the others. Silent, obedient, broken. But I'm not. Not yet. Because while the house may be alive, it's not perfect. It has cracks, weaknesses, and I've been watching, waiting. Tonight, I hear another officer inside. He's different, strong. He hasn't seen the grinning man yet. He hasn't seen me, the real me trapped inside these walls. This is my chance. I push against the rot, the wet, pulsing flesh of the house, clawing my way toward the sound of his voice. It hurts. God, it hurts. Like tearing through my own skin. But I keep going. I have to. The house doesn't like this. The walls tighten, the air turning to tar, trying to pull me back. But I fight. I push harder, tearing through the layers of decay, reaching, and then suddenly light, cold air. A crack in the wall just wide enough to fit through. I shove myself out and I fall. I land hard on the wooden floor. For a split second, I don't move. I just breathe. Real air. Real ground beneath me. I made it. I'm out. The officer, he's standing by the door, gun drawn, eyes wide. Jesus Christ. He breathes, stepping toward me. Are you? The house groans. The air shifts. And suddenly, I realize, I'm not alone. The grinning man is right behind me, watching, waiting, smiling. And he whispers, so close I can feel his breath against my ear. I didn't say you could leave. The floor splits open beneath me. Hands, cold, rotting, endless hands, burst from the darkness, grabbing my arms, my legs, my throat, and I scream as they drag me back inside. I wake up in the walls again. This time, the crack is gone. And the house? It's laughing, because no one ever really leaves. I know now the house doesn't just trap you, changes you. It waits, it feeds, it pulls you in, piece by piece, until you're nothing but a whisper, a shadow, a name that people forget. I don't know how long I've been here. Days? Months? Years? Time doesn't exist in the dark. But something is different this time, because I'm not just trapped inside the house. I'm becoming part of it. I feel it in my bones, in my breath. The walls pulse when I move. The whispers are louder inside my head. And worst of all, I can hear the house thinking. It speaks in cracks, in groans, in the scratching behind the walls. It has no voice, but I understand it now. And it understands me. The grinning man comes again. He always does. But tonight, he isn't smiling. He crouches next to where I'm pinned inside the walls, his black, endless eyes narrowing as he tilts his head. You're different, he whispers. I don't answer. I don't have to, because I can feel it too. I am not just a victim anymore. I am part of the house now. And the house is afraid of me. I push against the walls, against the rot, against the endless breathing mass that has held me for so long. The grinning man twitches. "No," he hisses. "You belong to us." I smile. It's my first smile in a long, long time. And then I tear through the walls. The house screams. The walls shatter, splitting open in jagged, rotten cracks. The shadows spill out like blood, shrieking, clawing, trying to pull me back in. But I won't go. Not this time. Not ever again. I run. Through the collapsing hallway, past the faces screaming in the plaster, past the rooms that have no doors, no windows, no way out until I see it. The front door, wide open. I throw myself through it. I land hard on the pavement. The cold night air rushes into my lungs, and for the first time in forever, I breathe. I really breathe. The house is still there, silent, watching, but I know the truth now. It didn't let me go. I forced my way out. The radio on my chest crackles. 4-11 status check. Officer Carter, do you copy? My hands are shaking as I grab it. I'm here. A pause. Jesus, Carter. We lost contact with you for hours. What the hell happened? I look back at the house. The front door is closed again. Like it never opened. Like it never let me go. I swallow hard, forcing the words out. Don't send anyone else here. Carter, what's going on? I take one last look at the house, at the windows, at the grinning man still watching me from the shadows inside. And I do the only thing I can. I turn, and I walk away.